living behind bars is the exact opposite of what he has been used to. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, it's a place that's been described as hell on earth.
MDC is a tough place, so rough you can hear detainees shouting even on the streets. He's reportedly under watch, basically except for hospital paper, throwaway clothing, and rubber shower shoes.
The music mogul who has lived in luxury has now stuck in a place that clearly doesn't match his superstar lifestyle. The conditions he's facing are pretty shocking, and it's hard to imagine how he's handling it.
When a defendant is behind bars at MDC, it's much more difficult to work on their defense, no matter who they are.
Rumors are swirling that he might be plotting something serious behind those bars. With all that time to think, could we see the birth of a cult right in the heart of the jail?
Many criminal defense attorneys say he's fighting a mountain of evidence and tough prosecution from the government's all-female team.
Imagine inmates rallying around him, fueled by the frustration of being locked up. It's not just about surviving. Diddy could very well be scheming his next big move. The alleged footage might just be the tip of the iceberg, and who knows what could happen next. This situation is bound to get a whole lot crazier. So Diddy kicked off 2023 in true Diddy style, big, bold, and ultra-luxurious. He and his then-girlfriend Young Miami were living their best lives, partying it up with celeb friends on a jaw-dropping 278-foot, $117 million super yacht cruising through the Caribbean waters of St. Barts. And of course, when the clock hit midnight, Diddy didn't just pop any old champagne. Oh no, he cracked open gold bottles of Ace of Spades on the yacht's deck. This isn't your average boat either. We're talking helipad, baby grand piano, jacuzzi, wine cellar, the works. Fast forward about 20 months and things have taken a serious turn for Diddy. The rap mogul, who was arrested on September 16th and hit with some heavy charges, ST and racketeering, now finds himself stuck in a tiny, bleak cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn.
There's no VIP section, there is no concierge, only conmen and kingpins.
He's denied everything, pleading not guilty, but it's a tough spot. Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, is straight up worried about his safety in the jail, which has a pretty nasty reputation. The food's basically inedible from what I've been told, Agnifilo said during a September 17th interview after Diddy's bail was denied. He even added, "It's violent in there. Someone like Mr. Combs could be a target. We can't let that happen." Diddy's time in the spotlight has taken a dramatic turn, straight to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and word is, he's not handling it well. The 54-year-old music mogul, who's facing some serious charges including STF-icking and racketeering, is reportedly paranoid to the max. Rumor has it, Diddy's been dodging meals like they're bad beats, afraid that someone might be out to poison him.
And no one would really think anything of it. So that may be one of the reasons he's not eating. There's a possibility that he wants to go on a kosher diet. It's prepared a little bit differently.
The latest tea? According to Larry Levine, a former inmate with insider knowledge, Diddy's stress levels are sky high. He's supposedly refusing to eat at all, fearing that his high profile could make him a target. And while he's under special protection at MDC, it sounds like he's not taking any chances. After all, being in detention isn't exactly like a VIP section at the club, and Diddy seems to be bracing for the worst. Whether it's paranoia or survival instincts, one thing's for sure. Life behind bars is nothing like the lavish world he's used to. Imagine if someone paid someone off on the inside to poison his food, give him a heart attack and he dies, said Levine. He fears internal corruption might endanger Diddy. He added, "If somebody got to one of the correctional officers, and this could happen, they don't make a lot of money, and there's people out there that he's got stuff on that do have a lot of money." Diddy's prison nightmare just keeps getting worse. In a recent chat with News Nation's Ashley Banfield, former inmate Larry Levine spilled the tea on Diddy's extreme paranoia behind bars. According to Levine, it's pretty common for new inmates to be wary of the food. And in Diddy's case, it's no different. Apparently, he's refusing to eat, not just out of fear of being poisoned, but because the food itself is, well, nasty. Levine even claims the meals are filled with carbs, sometimes covered in mold, and can make people sick. So maybe Diddy's paranoia has some truth behind it. Who wouldn't be freaked out?
All the mayor people that he brought on here in New York City are all resigning.
While nobody can confirm exactly what Diddy's dealing with at MDC, former inmates have painted a pretty grim picture of the place. It's a world away from the rapper's cushy $35 million, 8,000 square foot Miami mansion, where he's usually surrounded by private security, friends, and family, including his 7 kids: Quincy, Justin, Christian, Chance, twins Delilah and Jesse, and little Love, who's not even 2 yet. One former inmate who spent 3 months there in 2019 didn't sugarcoat it. It's a terrible, horrible place. There's no air movement, and the food is basically slop. Diddy, who's worth a cool $600 million, might now be facing the harsh realities of prison life, from regular strip searches to limited showers and barely any contact with his loved ones. Oh, and let's not forget the constant threat of violence. Prison consultant Sam Mangle didn't hold back either, calling parts of MDC pure hell and saying it's probably the worst federal detention center in the country.
So just in terms of the atmosphere there, it's just certainly one that no one wants to be in.
Initially, Diddy was placed on watch, which is no walk in the park. According to a former inmate, those on watch are monitored 24/7. Fluorescent lights never go off, and cameras are constantly watching. You get strip searched every single time you leave your cell, the ex-inmate shared. Prisoners considered a threat to themselves are given rubber shoes, special eating utensils, and even basic hygiene products like toothbrushes need special authorization. It's a far cry from Diddy's usual life of luxury, that's for sure.
The experience here for Diddy will be different. Like other first-time celebrity defendants, he's reportedly under watch, basically except for hospital paper, throwaway clothing, and rubber shower shoes.
Moreover, according to a source, Diddy has been taken off suicide watch and moved to protective custody, joining a roster of high-profile inmates. He's now in the same housing unit as convicted cryptocurrency fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. Notorious names like R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, and NXEVM cult leader Keith Raniere have also done time at MDC. It's for people who either request protective custody or need it, the source explained, meaning S-offenders and major public figures. The 30 or so inmates on this floor get single-man cells, which are even smaller than the regular ones, though there's a 500-square-foot recreation deck for some fresh air. Well, sort of.
He is not the first high-profile inmate to pass through these walls. Ghislaine Maxwell, R. Kelly, Pharma Bro Martin Shkreli, and crypto fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried, all as they waited for their federal criminal trials, called this jail home.
Diddy's current reality behind bars couldn't be further from the life of luxury he flaunted in his raps and on social media, where he had a personal chef, assistants, and staff ready to handle anything he wanted. Now he's got to stick to a strict schedule for everything: meals, showers only allowed every other day, and laundry. MDC's 1,217 inmates all get a 6 a.m. wake-up call. And the food, let's just say it's not gourmet. One former inmate dished on the meals. There's chili, shredded chicken with rice, and Wednesday's infamous burgers, a thin patty that's basically shoe leather. A typical day's menu: oatmeal and bran flakes for breakfast, a chicken patty sandwich for lunch, and Salisbury steak for dinner. Quite the downgrade from 5-star dining. After a while, inmates can start buying items from the commissary. Think tuna packets for $3.45, condiments, and chocolate bars to spice up those bland meals. Everybody tries to hit up the commissary for extra food, says Bill Baroni, an attorney and Seton Hall law professor who knows the system firsthand after serving 3 months in prison. He was wrongfully convicted of conspiracy and wire fraud and now helps others navigate prison life. But here's the catch: when you first get in, you don't get that access right away. So for now, Diddy's stuck with those burgers and whatever else is on the basic menu.
There were times when I would go to interview clients, let's say during the course of R. Kelly's trial, I would see him right there speaking with his lawyers, just the same as everyone else was down there speaking with their lawyers and visiting with their family members. There's no special wing.
According to the source, Diddy can still make phone calls. Prisoners get 300 minutes a month for that, and he has some access to email, though it's not exactly a free-for-all. Former MDC inmate Blair G., who did time there in 2016, spilled the details. Emails are timed at about 5 cents a minute, strictly text, and heavily monitored. You can't receive any images or anything like that, Blair explained. As for visits, they're limited, and anyone wanting to see Diddy has to pass a background check first. Definitely not the kind of communication flow Diddy's used to.
Diddy's moved to this area of MDC. There are reports that he's spoken briefly to his children over the phone.
The Sean John founder, usually seen decked out in Alexander McQueen and Gucci, is now rocking a far less glamorous wardrobe. 2 standard issue uniforms, along with 3 pairs of socks, and yes, used undergarments, according to former inmate Blair G. And that's not all. Diddy will be subject to regular strip searches. A second former MDC inmate described the process, and it's as unpleasant as it sounds. You're going to take off all your clothes, the former inmate explained. The guard is going to check your mouth, tell you to turn around, bend over, spread your cough, turn back around, lift your genitals, and squat. MDC Brooklyn has a serious reputation for violence. In 2020, an inmate named Jamal Floyd died after being pepper sprayed by correction officers, and just this past July, Edwin Cordero was fatally injured in a fight. Cordero's lawyer didn't mince words when he described MDC to the New York Times as an overcrowded, understaffed, and neglected federal jail that is hell on earth. Cordero's widow, Ashley, echoed the sentiment, telling Us Weekly, "The prison is disgusting. They've got rats running through there and everything. No human being should be living like that." Her advice to Diddy? Don't trust anyone. That prison is obviously not safe. Definitely not a place for the faint of heart. And how's Diddy gonna survive there? The first former inmate thinks Diddy might be able to win over some guards and fellow inmates. If the guards take a liking to Diddy, he could get extra food. More time out of his cell, they said. Blair G chimed in, noting Diddy's wealth might work in his favor. He's rich, so they might not treat him so badly as a form of extortion. However, another former inmate isn't so sure Diddy's fame will help much. On the outside, you're a 10, but in prison, you're automatically a 5. It's a whole different world. Prison consultant Sam Mangle added that Diddy's charges could make things even worse. His charges are problematic in the Bureau of Prisons. I wouldn't be surprised if people were screaming and threatening him. What's even going to be another challenge for him is that Diddy's alleged crimes could make him a target behind bars. As prison consultant Sam Mangle explains that offenders are specifically targeted by other inmates. According to a 14-page indictment unsealed on September 17th, prosecutors accused Diddy of abusing, threatening, and coercing women and others around him. The indictment also claims that he engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of A toward women and other individuals, describing it as, at times, verbal, emotional, physical, and S.
It's terrible. The food is terrible. Of course, the inmates are terrible. The guards are terrible. The conditions are terrible. It's just terrible.
Diddy is facing some extremely serious accusations, including orchestrating so-called freak-offs, where he allegedly lured women into participating in elaborate and produced S performances. These events reportedly took place in hotel rooms, with Diddy allegedly plying women with DS and using force, threats of force, and coercion to make them engage in extended S acts with male S workers, acts that he allegedly recorded on video.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the performances, which he called freak-offs.
His arrest follows a wave of civil lawsuits for SA and physical violence, with the 11th lawsuit being filed on September 23rd. His ex, Cassie Ventura, was the first to come forward last November, accusing Diddy of abusing her and forcing her to have S with male S workers. Diddy has denied all allegations, including those from Ventura, though their case was settled just one day after her filing in November 2023. These claims have only added fuel to the fire surrounding Diddy's current legal troubles. Sources close to Cassie Ventura say she's feeling a sense of relief now that Diddy is behind bars. The more stories that have come out about him, the more she feels validated, an insider revealed. With 2 young children and a husband, Alex fine, Cassie is ready to move on, knowing there's a lot more that could come to light about Diddy's alleged behavior, and it's very scary and dark. She finally feels like she can close the door on that chapter of her life. Meanwhile, Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges and continues to deny the allegations against him. In a statement to Us Weekly, a spokesperson for Sean Combs emphasized, "Mr. Combs remains strong, healthy, and disciplined, fully committed to his defense with the unwavering support of his family, legal team, and the truth. They added that he hasn't had the chance to defend himself in court yet, and no criminal or civil claims have yet been proven. The spokesperson stressed that Diddy remains innocent until proven guilty and will not be sidetracked by conspiracy theories or sensationalized narratives. As for the legendary parties he hosted, they were highly sought after by the world's most prominent names, and any distortion of that is just pure fabrication from those who either weren't invited or are just trying to stay relevant. If convicted, Diddy could be looking at a serious stretch in prison, anywhere from 15 years to life. The sentence he might receive really depends on whether he goes for a plea deal or opts for a trial, explains Jennifer Beidel, a former assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. The big decision ahead for Diddy and his legal team is whether to strike a plea deal or head to trial. In a September 17th interview with CNN, Diddy's attorney Mark Agnifilo made it clear he plans to take the case to trial, stating, "I believe he's innocent of the charges and he is going to go to trial, and I believe he's going to win." Beidel estimates that it'll probably take about 6 months to a year before the trial actually happens. As for the next steps, Diddy's next court appearance is set for October 9th. In the meantime, attorney Bill Baroni says Diddy is likely struggling to adjust to his new reality. He's facing the hardest of times in the hardest of places. His life will never be the same. And maybe he starts plotting something very sinister against those who have an equal part in doing everything but still are not caught. Because the conditions of where he is being kept can make people do anything, and they can surely affect the mental health as reported. One person wrote, "It's just sad that P. Diddy had the opportunity to do right, but instead he took the wrong path doing what he wanted to do by doing all kinds of evil things to people." Another one added, "The first time he's been to jail in his life, even for just a week, that makes this more satisfying." That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.